Good morning and welcome to today's video. It's going to be a video Q&A where I answer all your questions that you guys asked me on Instagram when I took a poll just a little bit ago. This video is long overdue, and if it looks like I just woke up, I did. So, forgive me. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I want to answer your questions about equipment because most of them were about equipment. I use a Canon 5D Mark IV, and my lens I use is a 50mm 1.2. I've always used Canon for my wedding films and will always probably use Canon. I love it. Here's another lens I use. It's a 24-70 2.8. And here's Jack's drone. He uses a DJI Mavic Pro 2. Yes, I'll just end there. Oh, I also use a Manfrotto monopod, which I don't have with me in Hawaii because I'm not shooting weddings out here, but that's the best, and I think it's like the key to most of my wedding videos. The way they look is because of the monopod. What music licensing websites do you use? I recently started using the Music Bed and I really like it. What I'll do is when I'm driving in the car, I'll just have the playlist of the Music Bed going so I can, mark songs that I really like and keep them in playlists and then use them later on. I know there's a lot of other licensing sites, so I would try them all out and see what songs you like on them and then make your decision. I've realized that I like the Music Bed the best. What software do you use to edit your videos? I use Final Cut Pro X. I think that software is so simple and so wonderful, and you can do everything you want to do on it. I know that people use Premiere Pro, which is also awesome. It's just really complex and I haven't figured it out yet, and I think I'm just going to stick to Final Cut Pro. Also, I am going to be releasing an online editing workshop in the next probably couple weeks, so I'm really excited about that. So most of your questions will be answered on that workshop, so I hope you guys can check it out. Put your email in the comments below if you would like to know when I will be releasing that workshop so you can get the early bird, because I'm going to only be releasing a certain amount of them. What software do you use to color grade your videos? I use Lightroom Classic and I love it so much. I usually color grade all my clips before and then I'll import them into Final Cut Pro, and that's how I will color grade my videos. Where did you find your first clients that weren't friends and family? All of my first clients were friends and family, so I was lucky enough to start my business in a place that I grew up in, so word of mouth just kind of traveled, and that's how I got started. I love making vids, but I don't have money for the nicest stuff because I'm only 16. I would say do your best to save up for nice equipment, because nice equipment produces good quality videos. You can be a great editor and you can be super creative, but if you don't have the equipment to portray a professional video, then it's gonna look like a mediocre video. So I would say equipment's not the most important thing. I think it's creativity, but do invest in your equipment, and I would say you can go and finance your equipment at Best Buy, or you can take a loan out from your parents. Try to do anything you can to get nice equipment because it's a game changer. What presets do you use? On my videos, I use my own presets that I created. Those will also be included in my online editing workshop. I have found that video presets are a lot different than photo presets. So say I like a photo preset a ton, if I slap it on my wedding videos, it's not going to look the same. It's going to usually blow it out and make it very high in contrast and other things like that. So I would stick to video presets being video presets and photo presets being photo presets. If you are ever deathly ill on the day of a wedding, do you just push through it? Backup plan. Luckily, I've never been deathly ill on a wedding day, but I have felt really sick and I just go because it always gets better, and I feel like moving around actually helps me not feel that sick, and I don't like sending backups a lot. If I have to for a bridal shoot, I will, but for wedding days, I always make sure I show up. Is it stressful not to have a steady paycheck? Never. I've never really thought about this before, but it's not stressful because sometimes you have a ton of weddings or a ton of deposits and they all come in at the same time, and you're like, whoa, I made more this month than I did the last 2 months. And then sometimes there's months where you don't make a ton, but it all kind of evens out. So I've never been really stressed about not having a steady paycheck, but it is scary owning your own business because you don't have a boss to talk to about your paycheck or a raise or anything. You kind of have to hustle on your own and make things happen. My biggest suggestion would just be keep grinding and keep working hard towards getting as many shoots and weddings as you can, because weddings is where the money's at. Any tips for organizing all of your footage, for example, what you do at the end of the day? Okay, so when I get home at night, I'll take my little SIM card, I'll plug it into my big computer, and I will put all of my footage on this. This is a WD Easy Store 10 terabyte hard drive, and this is like a stationary hard drive. It doesn't move, you don't take it with you on trips, it just has all of your weddings on it. And then when I go on trips, I will plug this in. It's just a 1 terabyte hard drive. It's also WD, and I will put any weddings I will be working on that trip on this, and then I don't clog this up. And if this breaks, then it doesn't matter because I have this for my backups. And I make sure I do that every single night, because do not lose footage. My biggest suggestion is to guard your footage with your whole entire life and keep those little tiny cards safe until you get them home, and keep your hard drives in good condition. Did you go to school or teach yourself? I get a lot of questions every day asking what courses I took in college to become a videographer, but I would say I was already a videographer before I went to college. I just knew I wanted to go to college, or at least try it out, so I was like, I might as well take video courses. I started when I was 16 and just loved filming videos, and my friend asked me to film her sister's wedding video, and that's kind of how I got started. I feel like back then, highlight wedding videos weren't too popular, so I tried to make them as fun as possible, and that's kind of how I built my clientele. And then when it was time to go to college, I looked up some of the courses, and to get a film degree you kind of have to take a lot of like script writing classes and directing classes, and that's not what I'm super interested in, so I kind of knew I wasn't going to finish that degree, but I wanted to take the courses I could while I was there. So I took an editing course, an Apple computer course, a Final Cut Pro course, and that really helped me. I'm not in college anymore, but I would suggest going and trying it out if you haven't. Favorite camera hack trick. So since I use a monopod, some would say I wouldn't get too much like motion in my videos, but what I do is like if I'm holding the monopod and I'm filming, what I'll do is like even if the shot is like pretty still, I'll just like move my monopod kind of in like a small tiny circle, and it gives like a lot of depth to the shot. That is kind of like one of my hacks or tricks, and I think it gives my videos like a little more movement and dynamic. If I think of any others, I'll let you know. Were you nervous to start your own videography Instagram? Yes, I was nervous to start that, because I have always just posted on my personal account like, hey look, I made a new video, and sometimes I'd post it on my story, or sometimes I'd post it or link them to my Vimeo. But what I realized is like most of the like traffic that you'll get as a videographer is through Instagram. So if I don't have a space where all my videos can be, then I'm not really advertising like I should. So when I made the Instagram like a year ago, I had 0 followers, and I was just anyways, I'm really excited about my videography Instagram and how far it's come. I'm not too worried about how many followers I have. I just want to make sure that there's a space where any of my wedding clients can go and find my videos, watch previews of them, and get excited about my work. I would highly recommend a separate Instagram for your videography than just your personal Instagram. It's a game changer. How do you manage to get so much great content? That was really kind of you. I would say I just try to keep my camera on at all times, because by the way, the more you turn your camera off between shots, the more it runs your battery, and your battery is going to die quicker. So try to keep your camera on, because shutting the whole system off and then rebooting it actually uses a lot of battery. But I just try to keep my camera on a lot of the time, just so I don't miss any of the in-between shots or the details, because that's where my videos get like very unique and different, I feel like, is when there's a lot of in-between emotion and intimacy between the couple, and that's like one of my favorite things ever. And then I'll make sure I start my video off with those favorite intimate shots so they can grasp people's attention. How do you pack your camera in a suitcase to keep it from being damaged? I always travel with my camera in my carry-on bag. I use the Holdland camera bag, and I stuff all of my equipment in there, and it's really padded and nice, so I don't have to worry about my camera getting tossed around. I would never suggest checking your camera in your bag. As heavy as it may be, I would just keep it in your camera bag with you at all times. I also travel with my monopod, and I usually just carry it like a carry-on, or if my bag has like a little strap, I'll put it in there. So I don't usually check my monopod either. But I have left it at the airport multiple times and had to buy new ones, so don't leave it at the airport. Best ways to promote your business, how to grow. I think the best way to promote your business is just by word of mouth and asking people to refer you. That all comes from being super pleasant and a really good person on their wedding day, so that the guests at the wedding can see that, oh, I would want her at my daughter's wedding. So it all comes from word of mouth, and that just, you know, stems from being super happy and helpful and nice on the wedding day so they can have a good experience with you. Another good way is by reaching out to a lot of wedding planners and saying, hey, you know, I'll recommend you. If you can recommend me, that would be awesome. I've had this one wedding planner in Wisconsin recommend me for 3 weddings now. So this year we're on our way back to Wisconsin for like the 4th time because she keeps referring me. And so it's just like such a good, you know, way to get weddings by just word of mouth and connecting with people who are doing what you do and who are in the wedding industry. Join Facebook pages as well. That really helps. Try to make friends with the photographer of the wedding, you know, drive with them if you can, or, you know, support them on Instagram because that goes a long way. What made you want to and confident in pursuing your career now instead of a job with benefits, like health benefits and stuff? I don't have health benefits from this job because I'm self-employed. I think it all is worth it because I'm my own boss. I can choose the weddings I do, I can choose the shoots I do, I can choose what days I work, I can travel a lot. There's a ton of flexibility and benefits to being a wedding videographer, and I love it more than anything, and I would never trade my job for any sort of benefits ever. What do you use when you take your camera underwater? So this is a good question. So I use this water housing. It's Ecolite water housing. And I will be honest with you guys, I'm not in love with this brand. I'm kind of trying to transition to finding like a different brand that's like a little less heavy, but it has worked super well for me. This dome is super important because that's how you get like the half and half shots. This dome is made for my 24-70 lens. This dome would not work on my 50mm lens. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And then I'll just insert my camera into here and close the back, and you can use all of the functions you normally would. And this goes to about, I think you can go 50 feet underwater with this. And what I do is I put my camera in and I like assemble it all, and then I'll put my camera underwater before I get in. And if you see any bubbles coming up, that means that there's a leak and that water's getting into your housing, which means you got to take it off and make sure you screwed everything on right. But if you don't do that little test, then you'll jump in the water with your camera. By the time you get out, your camera's already full of water and it's too late. So make sure before you get in the water, you do a test. How did you learn? Just trial and error. Any other resources you used? Inspiration. When I was starting out, you know, there weren't such things as video workshops and in-person workshops or mentoring sessions because it just wasn't that popular. I would suggest doing all of those things though, because I just had to look up on YouTube any questions I had, and it was trial and error, and there was a lot of error when I was starting out. A lot of the errors that you will go through out of the way if you know them beforehand. How do you prioritize traveling while managing a business? That's a good question. I think that traveling is our priority, well, besides each other. Family and each other, and then traveling. And so we just decided like any free weekend we had, we would travel, whether it be St. George or whether it be Thailand or Africa. We love traveling, so any weekend we had free, we would just book a trip, and that's how we prioritize traveling, because if you don't, then you're just kind of gonna get swallowed into work. And when you own your own business, you never really stop working. So traveling really helps us like disconnect. What settings do you use on your camera? So on your camera settings, there's 5 things that you need to take in consideration. F-stop, frames per second, shutter speed, ISO, and your white balance, which I use Kelvin. How long does it usually take to edit a wedding video? This is a question I get asked a ton. It honestly just depends on how much content came from the wedding. I used to take probably 12 hours to edit a full wedding day. I learned a lot over the last 6 years, and I learned a lot about keyboard shortcuts, which I will be teaching in my online workshop. It really does cut your editing time in half. Like, I would say I could edit a full wedding video in less than 3 hours if I just sat down and busted it out. And a lot of people ask, well, if it only takes you, you know, that long to edit a wedding video, then why can't my wedding video be done next week? The reason for that is because I have a lot of weddings to edit, and I have to do them in chronological order. I have to live my life and live a healthy life and work out and hang out with my husband and hang out with my family. Just because I'm posting on Instagram that I'm at the park with my husband doesn't mean that I haven't worked on your wedding video. So I want to kind of clear that up, that I have to kind of live my life and not only edit every single day all day. I also think it's important that you wait a little bit for your wedding video, because I think the wait just, you know, makes you more excited. We waited like 6 to 8 months for a wedding video, and I honestly was fine with it. I'm like, you know what, it's only gonna be more exciting when I see it for the first time, and I like respected my videographers enough to where like I trusted them and I'm not gonna like rush them. So that is why my turnaround time is 8 to 10 weeks, is because I just feel like that gives me time to put my heart into it and get inspiration for it, and it gives you time to, I don't know, be anxious and excited about it. That was so long, but I hope I answered some of your questions. I just kind of like scratched the surface with most of my answers because I didn't want this video to be 3 hours long. But if you are looking for more in-depth advice on videography, I would suggest putting your email below in the comments so I can send you an email when my editing workshop will be released. Like I said, it will just jumpstart your editing process, jumpstart your color grading process, and jumpstart your business. You're gonna feel more confident in yourself and your editing ability, and you will for sure cut your editing time in half. So if you do want to know more, let me know in the comments below, and I'm so excited that I was able to share this information with you today. If you have any other questions, just shoot me an email. I get to questions as much as I can. Anyways, thank you for watching this channel, and I super appreciate it. Have a good day.